What's going on, everybody? My name is Anthony from Knicks Nation. I'm here joined by Chris. This is episode 2 of the Knicks Nation podcast. We're here talking everything Knicks, and we're going to get right into it, man. NBA trading deadline just ended at 3 p.m. Not just ended, 2.5 hours ago. And this was probably, Chris, one of the most craziest deadlines I've witnessed in a while. You obviously had the big names get traded. Kevin Durant, you had Kyrie Irving, you had a bunch of players going back to their former teams. You saw a bunch of teams in the West get stronger. The West is a juggernaut now. But we start off this podcast talking about what the New York Knicks did, Chris. And what they did was they acquired Josh Hart from Portland. They gave up Cam Reddish and a protected first-round pick and some salary fillers. Protected first-round pick is probably going to convey this year. But, Chris, the Knicks made a move. We thought they were going to stay still, but they made a move.
Yeah, I mean, it was getting dicey there. For a minute there, I actually thought, all right, Knicks are not going to actually do anything, which was crazy. But sure enough, Knicks go ahead and get Josh Hart, which I think is a solid player and someone who's going to fit in perfectly with the Knicks. I think it's a win, even with giving up a protected first. But what are your thoughts on it?
My original reaction was that I like the deal. A lot of fans are, haggling over their first round pick. We shouldn't have given up a first round pick, especially for a rental. Josh Hart I believe he has a player option coming up that he probably declined. But look, there's a lot of connections there. He's a CAA client, of course. He has chemistry with Jalen Brunson. He used to play in Villanova with him. And obviously, there's a connection there. The Knicks were comfortable giving out that protected first-round pick for Josh Hart. Maybe they have some intel that he's going to re-sign with them. But to me, this is what we've been asking for, Chris. We've been on here a bunch. I've been asking for it. You've been asking for it. They needed to bolster the bench. Deuce McBride has been playing well here as of late. But, you needed more. You needed more of a punch. You needed more of a threat. And Josh Hart does all the winning plays that don't show up in the box score. He does everything. He's an elite rebounder. He could shoot the three, although he's not really shooting the three at a good rate this season. But he does everything well, Chris. And the Knicks, in my opinion, this was a great move. What about you, man? Do you like it?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think Josh Hart was even a possibility until maybe the other day when it was reported that Knicks were kind of looking into it and the Blazers were looking to unload some players. But hey, it beats the hell out of us getting Reggie Bullock, because I was pretty sure that was gonna happen. It's such a Knicks move, and I'm just happy it didn't. But when it comes to Josh Hart, like you said, he does those things that doesn't really come up in the box score much, but he is able to score. He's more of a 2-point threat than he is a 3-point threat, which is okay in my opinion. But he defends his ass off, and he is a player who's gonna just give you everything on the floor. And then you just look at the relationship he has with Jalen Brunson, and that's even better. These are two guys that won a championship together at the collegiate level, and that's just better for us. More chemistry, the more better we are, in my opinion.
Yeah, and Josh Hart, like I said, is an elite rebounding guard. This season, he is averaging, I believe, like almost 9 rebounds a game as a guard, which is kind of crazy. And the Knicks have been missing that. They're missing that rebounding punch. And, which brings the question, obviously, you bring in Josh Hart. And he's not a big name, not a big enough name to be like, okay, he's definitely starting now, right? So Quentin Grimes here has been your starter for a while now, and he's been playing well. He's been developing nicely. He has chemistry with the guys, has chemistry with the starters, and he's building chemistry with Julius Randle as well, which is important because Randle needs that, outside shooter threat to open up the floor a little bit. So, I opened up the question on my Twitter account at KnicksNation, and I pretty much said, you're bringing in Josh Hart. Would you start him or would you bring him off the bench? The way I look at it, right now I would bring him off the bench with Emmanuel Quickly. I do think Emmanuel Quickly and Josh Hart will work well. Now, Josh Hart, Chris, is averaging over 30 minutes a game this season, which is kind of insane if you think about it. And I don't think he's going to get that in New York. He's not going to get 30 plus minutes, but maybe he gets 20, 25 playing alongside IQ. You know how Thibs likes to shorten the rotation. So, I mean, I guess I'm asking, obviously, would you start him or would you bring him off the bench, or where do you think he fits on this Knicks team in terms of like his role?
Um, I think you pretty much nailed it. Like, I think I would do the same. I'd get him off the bench at first, get him used to the system, let him learn the ropes on each side of the court when it comes to Knicks basketball, and then things get interesting from there. I mean, it really gives them a lot of flexibility. Um, you can move RJ back to the two. You can play hard at the three. You can leave Grimes leave the rotation the way it is. Have Hart play with quickly, like you said. Um, yeah, I think more importantly, it gives us more options, and Grimes and quickly don't have to be the only guys that are kind of like relied on to defend at a high level. I
Yeah.
think I think it's a perfect fit for the Knicks, and I could see Josh Hart starting, and I could see him coming off the bench. So I mean, I think it's good news for us. Like you said, not the sexiest um,
Not Zach
trade,
LaVine,
but
right? If you
not
want to call
yeah,
that
not Zach
sexy.
LaVine, which is a whole nother another thing. But I think he's just the type of player who fits perfectly with us, and he is capable of hitting the three ball. Hasn't shot it particularly well this season, but who's to say that won't change now? Maybe he's motivated playing with Brunson.
Yeah. Obviously, we know that him and Brunson have chemistry together. Yeah, like I said, Hart is an elite rebounder. He does all the winning plays on the court. He's a winner. Mike Breen, I believe, described him earlier in the season when the Blazers came to the Garden as a winner. Does all the intangibles. Smart player. Like I said, winner. So Josh Hart, welcome to the New York Knicks, and it's going to be interesting how the New York Knicks deploy him, rotation wise, and we're gonna see how Tom Thibodeau uses the rotations. Whether he, it's more about who finishes, right? And lately, Emmanuel quickly has been one of those guys who has been finishing over R.J. Barrett here, and R.J. Barrett has been struggling. Bounced back in the second half versus the Orlando Magic game, but it's going to be more of who finishes on the court. I know you would like to see, the Josh Hart Brunson pairing because they have chemistry, but then again, you would like to see, Grimes still being there, quickly still being there. It seems like Knicks still have a lot of guys, and that's good. It's a good problem to have, right? I mean, now, Josh Hart comes in here, and you expect him to take Deuce McBride's role, and
Right.
McBride has been a touchy subject because a lot of Knicks fans just want to continue to to watch him develop, and he has been developing, but he has his off games. He has games where he shoots the three poorly, and but he still plays solid defense. But look, Deuce McBride, the second round pick. I knew that eventually, the flame was going to flame out. I'm not saying his flame flamed out. I'm just saying, the Knicks needed to do something to solidify them in the top six. And I think the acquisition of Josh Hart did that.
Yeah, I mean, you even had guys like Kendrick Perkins and Richard Jefferson singing the praises of Josh Hart going to the Knicks, and what a low key good move that is. They're talking about the Knicks getting to the second round in the playoffs, and even moving up as high as maybe fourth in the standings. So let's hope things like that do happen. But back to Deuce and the amount of minutes that Josh Hart might command. That's where I say things might get interesting because, like you said, quickly Grimes have been kind of closing out some games
Yeah.
over RJ, and to be honest, you might keep seeing a lot of that because if RJ's defense is not up to snuff, you know Hart is a Tibbs guy in my opinion. I mean,
Yeah,
I
totally.
think he's on the record saying that he likes Tibbs and the way he coaches, and I think Tibbs is this is the opposite of the Cam Reddish situation in my opinion. So there's no banishment to the bench. Tibbs is not gonna like not play him at all. I think this guy is gonna come in, get good minutes, and it's gonna be interesting to see what he does with the rotations.
Yeah. And, back to Deuce, I mean, second round pick, like I said, he was developing here a little bit. He was starting to hit his 3 point shot. But the Deuce McBride experiment is not over. He's still going to be a New York Knicks. He's going to be used in certain situations, but the experiment is not over. But yeah, like you said, a Tom Thibodeau guy, Josh Hart is, and what does that tell you? Is Tom Thibodeau going anywhere?
He's here to stay. He is here to stay, and they're bringing in players that clearly fit that Tibbs mentality.
Yep.
So, sorry guys, he's not leaving.
Sorry to the Knicks fans that wanted Tom Thibodeau to be canned, but that's another story for another day. Right now, New York Knicks are number 7 in the East, Chris. So we just witnessed the New Jersey Nets blow it up. We just witnessed the Brooklyn Nets blow it up. Sorry to Nets fans if you're listening, but that hurt, man. Tough times to be a Net fan. We just witnessed them blow it up. So right now they're number 5. Do you see the Nets falling back, maybe in the play-in tournament? Because they're still a good team. They have Bridges, Cam Johnson, pairing with Dinwiddie, Dorian Finney-Smith. Good team over there in Brooklyn. But championship aspirations have gone out the window in Brooklyn. So right now, no championship in Brooklyn, Knicks fans. There's not going to be a championship for a while in Brooklyn.
What a turn of events there for the Nets, man. I'm still speechless. I feel for Nets fans.
What was your reaction? I was up.
The Kyrie stuff, I wasn't really surprised because, it's Kyrie. And I think I mentioned it here before. I said, when Kyrie's focused on playing ball, you can't deny it. He is transcendent. He's just one of those players that you can't help but watch and kind of root for, But the other side of Kyrie, what we saw happen with the Nets, gets traded to Dallas, Did I think the Nets were going to blow it up, considering KD was still under contract for 3 years? No, because you still had Ben Simmons, you had KD.
I mean, that's not saying a lot, pieces. Ben Simmons. He's become one of the worst contracts in the NBA now.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
But then you see they get, some nice pieces. Dorian Finney-Smith, Dinwiddie.
Bridges is the prize.
Yeah. I mean, KD must have just said, look, I'm not winning with these guys. Luka couldn't win with these guys. I'm not winning with these guys. Yeah. Get me out of here. And I will say, I'll give Nets the props that, they took care of KD. KD was loyal to them. And, I mean, I guess when you listen to Kyrie and Harden and you trade them both, you can't say no to KD, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But tough all around for the Nets. I feel bad. They got gutted. You're talking about a Nets team.
I don't feel bad. You feel bad. I don't feel bad at all.
Well, part of me feels bad just because, as Knicks fans, we've been down there before. We're doing a lot better now, thank God. And but the Nets right now, in the sense that Kyrie just kind of screwed them over. They went from a promising young team under Kenny Atkinson to just restarting completely from nothing.
Yeah.
Basically, because, like you said, they got these good players, but let's be real, the Nets are not trying to win now. They got all these picks now. They want to be in the lottery. They don't want to be middle of the pack.
And, you say that, but then they don't own any of their first-round picks. Houston, that trade that they traded with James Harden, they traded them a boatload of first-round picks. So Houston owns all of their first-round picks coming up. So it's like the Nets own Phoenix's, but then Houston owns their own. So, the Nets they probably don't want to tank, but, that's the only bad thing about that. But anyway, yeah. Brooklyn is now in the 5th seed. Knicks are in the 7th seed. Knicks are 3 games behind Brooklyn. I see them making up 3 games. I mean, I guess we have a game against Brooklyn coming up here. Knicks have lost 8 in a row to Brooklyn, Chris. And I think it's about time we beat the Nets, right? I mean, traded away KD, traded away Kyrie. I mean, it's time we beat the Brooklyn Nets. But, yeah, does this solidify the New York Knicks as a top 6 team in the East, Chris? Does this get them in the top 6 bracket?
I think so. I mean, Brooklyn's clearly going to slide down. The Knicks, they got better. whether some fans
Yeah.
like it or not. The inclusion of Josh Hart now, I only see good things happening. I mean, can it go bad? I guess, but this player, I think he just fits so well with the Knicks that, and not too much was touched. There wasn't another big move. I know it was rumored Zach LaVine possibly last minute was gonna get traded to the Knicks, but that didn't happen. And this team just has it going. Yes. I was not happy with those reports. So when that
If you're
clock hit
listening on
3,
podcasts, I'm putting my two hands together like that.
pray your hands.
Pray your hands.
But yeah, so I think they're definitely, gonna move up in the standings. And again, you heard it from guys like Kendrick Perkins and Richard Jefferson, who are like notoriously for killing the Knicks.
Yep.
They were like, they love this signing by the Knicks. It's not sexy, it's not KD to the Suns, but
Yeah.
it's gonna have positive impacts for us, that's for sure.
Yeah, it definitely will. And I do see them making up some ground here. I do see them flipping that. I don't see the Nets falling down that much further because I do think they're a good team, especially with the emergence of what's his name, Cam Thomas, who's dropped like
Thomas.
3 straight games of 40+
He
points.
said, Kyrie, who?
Yeah, he's looking like Jordan all of a sudden over there in Brooklyn. But he
It's wild.
didn't. One thing you have to point out, he didn't improve. The Cavs didn't improve, and the Knicks have beat the Cavs twice this season. I've said it, and I've said it before, and I've said it again. If the Knicks play the Cavs in like a playoff series, I think we match up well with Cleveland. Like I don't, as crazy as it is to say, like I really do think we would match up well to Cleveland. Yeah, and then you have the Raptors were actually buyers. They bought Jakob from the San Antonio Spurs. We thought they were gonna blow it up, and that's one team, Chris, I do not want to see in the play-in tournament or in a playoff situation. I do not want to see the Toronto Raptors at all. We do not match up well with them whatsoever. So, Raptors improved. Bulls didn't do anything. Hawks, I believe, got Sadiq Bey, right? Hawks got Sadiq Bey,
Yes.
so they improved a little bit.
Interesting pickup.
Yeah, very. And then the Bucks, they got Jay Crowder from the Nets. Huge pickup for like
That's a huge pickup for them. That
First of-
reminds me of the PJ Tucker deal they had, where next thing you know, they're winning the chip.
yeah, that was a huge pickup. And can we talk about all these second round picks that have gotten thrown around here during
Is
this
that the
trading
new
deadline?
first round pick? Let's attach 4 or 5 second round picks for. Hell, I think Kevin Knox got traded for 4 second round picks or
I
something.
know.
Like
He's a Portland
Jeez.
Trailblazer, Kevin Knox.
that.
He got bounced around to the Warriors, went to the Trailblazers, and yeah, I mean these second round picks are being thrown around like they're nothing. And I don't understand. Like Jay Crowder got traded for 6 second round picks. Like that's insane. That's crazy talk. And then there was a bunch of trades where second round picks were being thrown around. I'm sure the Knicks have a ball load on them, but yeah, man. So the East is open, Chris. I mean, you have the 2 juggernauts. If you want to Philly, if you want to put them in a juggernaut conversation, okay, 3 juggernauts, and then after that, you don't know.
Yeah, it's open. I mean, in my opinion, Philly's kind of like just shy of that juggernaut status, but
Yeah, they flip flop
especially
every
with
year.
trading Thibault,
True.
I think the Knicks are gonna be, in a position where they can move up. That's for sure. I'm not sold on the Nets. I don't think. I know you're saying that you don't think that they'll do much, but that's a lot of new players coming together there to
Yeah, they
to
move
gel.
down.
So I think they'll move down a bit, and who knows? Maybe they just start tanking altogether. But it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting. That's for sure.
Yeah, it is. Nets have lost 2 in a row. They're 5-5 in the last 10. Knicks coming off a great win in Orlando. They're 5-5 in their last 10. They're 30-26. They play the Philadelphia 76ers here coming up. We're recording this on Thursday, February 9th, NBA trading deadline day. Once again, Knicks get a good piece, Josh Hart, man. They've been missing a bench piece. They've been missing a 3-and-D guy. They got a 3-and-D guy. I've been preaching for it. And, we've been talking about the positives. So let's talk about the negatives now, Chris. What are we seeing in Twitterverse? What are people saying about this trade that, might be negative? What I'm seeing is, you traded a first round pick for Cam Reddish. You gave up Kevin Knox. And then you pretty much do the same thing here with Josh Hart. You traded a protected first round pick for Josh Hart. And you pretty much get a rental on Josh Hart. Do the Knicks have intel? We don't know. But I mean, what are your thoughts about, the negatives in this deal, if there are any?
I guess when you look at it from the standpoint that we gave up a first for Cam, and you kind of add that onto it, it does kind of bring it down a bit.
Yeah.
To be honest, it does, because you're talking about a player the Knicks acquired, talented guy, just hasn't reached his potential, and he didn't play a damn minute in New York. Same with Atlanta and New York now. So it was a swing and miss. It was a time where you could tell the front office were not in sync with Tibbs, and not a Tibbs player. With Josh Hart, though, on the other hand, I mean, acquiring him, he's definitely a Tibbs type player. I think it's mostly positive.
Yeah.
If you take away the mismanagement, I guess you can say, of the picks before getting Cam for a first, and then now giving up a protected first to get Josh Hart. I mean, I think it's a good deal overall. I did hear Josh Hart's contract is a little bit weird in that he has a player option, but if he takes the player option, it becomes non-guaranteed. So kind of weird contract there that they gave him in Portland. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I think it benefits the Knicks overall, but
So you don't see him taking that player option then?
I mean, I don't see him taking it in a sense, but who knows? I mean, I don't think he's going to command too much money. And the fact that he's together with Jalen Brunson now again, maybe that gives us an advantage. I think he's definitely here to stay though for the Knicks.
Yeah, you saw Brunson's reaction. He was pretty ecstatic about this trade. But yeah, back to the negatives. Yeah, they traded a protected first for Cam. He didn't work out here. He didn't work out in Atlanta. Whether or not you want to blame the Knicks, whether or not you want to blame the Hawks, but sometimes it falls on the player too. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes. I don't want to speculate anything, but when Cam played, he was all right for the Knicks, man. Obviously, we know the opening night game versus Memphis. That game will always resonate with me, where he hit that game tying corner three and had us all going crazy. Like, wow, Cam Reddish has arrived, man. You start Cam Reddish with R.J. Barrett, like that's a dope little starting lineup right there. That's 6'8" shooting guard and a 6'7" small forward. That's pretty neat. But then, obviously it just didn't work out. So you took a chance with a first round pick on Cam, but I don't think the Knicks make this deal unless they have some type of intel that Josh Hart is going to, command a certain amount of money, and whether or not he wants to resign here. I honestly think now that he is in New York, he's in a comfortable environment. Jalen Brunson, CEA client. I think the Knicks are going to take care of him in terms of like an extension. That's going to be interesting because if you sign him to a certain, amount of money, maybe like let's say playoffs come around and, Grimes has been struggling and then Josh Hart has been playing really well. You insert Josh Hart in the lineup. Then this summer, you have a bunch of teams knocking on his door like, look, we want this guy. We want this guy. He's bounced around the league quite a bit. So not saying that he won't leave again, but I just think that at the end of the day, Chris, I think that the New York Knicks know that, they know what they have a price in mind. Maybe you give him like a three-year deal, 2-year plus like a player option, sort of like a 2+1 deal. But he's a player every contending team wants on their team, Chris.
Yeah, 100%. And I think you nailed it. I mean, the negatives are definitely, the draft capital lost during this whole, debacle with Cam. And it's a shame because, like you said, Cam, that opening night game, the other games where he showed us flashes that this guy can score, the Euro steps from Cam that I'll miss. You know,
Oh yeah.
I was
Yep.
one of the biggest supporters. I wanted it to work out, for whatever reason, and we'll never find out. Most likely, what it was between Tibbs and Cam, or whether it was Tibbs and Cam. Maybe he wasn't practicing well. We'll
Yeah.
never know. But without a doubt, I think the Knicks must have some kind of intel. I mean, him being close friends with Jalen, Jalen probably, I wouldn't be shocked if they had some kind of communication. Hey, we're gonna try to, kick the tires, see if we can acquire you.
Yeah.
Front office wants to know, would you like to stay long term or not? Who knows? Maybe something like that happened.
Yeah. Yeah. I do think something like that happened. But in terms of the Portland side, Portland acquired Cam Reddish. They traded. I'm not sure why they did this deal, honestly. They traded away a good player, Josh Hart. Maybe they didn't plan, excuse me, on signing Josh Hart. So maybe they were just like, hey, we'll acquire a first round pick, elite upcoming draft class, Chris. So maybe that's, part of the thinking. Maybe they want to get Dame some help, gives them an extra first round asset to toy with. That's what was my thinking in terms of, Portland side as to why they made this trade.
I can't really say. I mean, I really don't know where Cam actually fits in Portland. Considering they have Dame Lillard over there. They obviously want to compete. Does I mean, let me ask you this: does Cam Reddish get more minutes in Portland?
That's the thing, man. You have obviously you have Simons, Lillard, and I think they try it out, right? They give him an opportunity. Maybe they give him like 15 to 20 minutes a game. You have the Portland Trailblazers players talking highly about Cam Reddish, so maybe they try it out. But I hope Cam Reddish goes to Portland and balls out. I really do.
Yeah.
Just thinks that his time in New York, came to an end like this. But hey, it is what it is. That's the NBA for you. And so trading deadline is over, Chris. So I guess we could talk about the buyout market. It seems like a lot of teams here are waiving some players. And one name that I saw is Terrence Ross, guard from Orlando Magic. But you pulled up some names here that you've seen on Twitter. So what are some of the buyout candidates? Knicks have 2 open roster spots. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
I see, names like Patrick Beverly, Kevin Love is speculated, Serge Ibaka. The one that kind of stood out to me is Danny Green, who is he just came back from injury, but interesting name there for the Knicks. I think he would fit pretty well. A veteran guy, defends well, and as we all know, he's a knockdown 3-point shooter. Again, something
from the area.
Knicks. Yep.
He's from Long Island.
What do you think about that? I think that'd be a great get.
Yeah.
In the buyout market.
I mean, if you bring him in, I don't think he would play, but I just think that his veteran presence around the team, say the Knicks get into like a second round playoff series and, you need some of that leadership. Obviously, they kept Derrick Rose, which is why I thought they were going to keep Derrick Rose, because you need leadership in the locker room. You need guys who've been there before, done that, to mentor the young guys. So bringing in Danny Green here, I would accept it. Another name that just popped up is Will Barton.
Yes.
It seems like these guys are good. And it's like, why are teams buying them out? Like, Will Barton is pretty good.
That's a good question. I mean, that's a name you wouldn't think. I'm seeing also Seth Curry. I mean, again, 3-point shooter, knockdown 3-point shooter. Not a great defender, but again, Seth Curry, he can play.
Oh, if Seth Curry's bought out, sign me up for 10 times out of 10 for him. But it seems like the days of the bench guys, that contribute are like, I don't want to say coming to an end, but Terrence Ross, Will Barton, Bones Highland on Denver just got traded to the to the Clippers. Did he go to? I'm like, Bones Highland is good. Like, why is Denver trading one of your best players coming in off the bench? Like,
young up and coming. I mean, a good scorer.
Yeah.
Untapped potential. They're showing you the flashes, everything you'd want to see from a young guy, and then just for what, a couple of seconds, right?
That's equivalent to the Knicks trading Manuel Quickley right now. It is.
Yeah.
Although Manuel Quickley is better, but I'm just saying, like, guys like that who provide you scoring off the bench. But hey, Buyout market is here, so it's going to be interesting. These guys are probably going to go to contenders, Chris, but maybe some of these guys look at the Knicks and are like, hey man, I like what they're building over there. Josh Hart, Jalen Brunson. Now that KD's out, past the All-Star break, we'll see if Brunson replaces like an injured All-Star. I hope. Fingers crossed.
I think he should be in the high probability of
Yeah.
that. I mean, what more can this guy do?
Yeah, and then we have Jericho Sims news came out that he's going to be in the dunk contest. So we're going to be seeing Jericho Sims in the dunk contest, which should be pretty cool. Quentin Grimes is in the Rising Stars game. It's been a good week, Chris, to be a Knicks fan. It really has. Julius Randle, All-Star.
Now.
Yeah. Randle, All-Star. It's been a good week, man. Knicks, good win against the 76ers at home. Great win in Orlando. I don't care what you say. Orlando was playing well. You can look at their Orlando Magic record and you can just say, oh, it's the Orlando Magic, blah, blah, blah. But, hey, you play who's on your schedule, man. That was a good win, Chris.
Hey, Orlando, I think, was on they had a record of 17-12 in the past few games they played. So you're talking about an up-and-coming team there in Orlando that's, they could make some noise. They're definitely growing there. So not an easy win.
So I asked a question that we're recording this podcast on Twitter, and we have a question from @ColdWUNZ. He asked, who gets booted from the rotation, assuming Thibs sticks with 9 men, with Hart coming in? We talked about this, Chris, and to me, and to probably everybody, we know that it's going to be Deuce McBride that gets booted. McBride usually comes in for like 5-10 minutes. If he's playing really well, he'll maybe get above the 10-minute mark. So, Josh Hart, coming from Portland, playing over 30 minutes a game. I do not see him playing that much in New York. But hey, we've seen crazier things happen. Maybe he comes right in and tomorrow he starts. You don't know.
It's very well possible, to be honest with you. And it sucks for Deuce because, like we mentioned before, he's showing that growth that you want to see. He's being more aggressive on the offensive side. He's knocking down his shots now. A lot of more growth to go for Deuce, but I don't think he's going anywhere. I mean, I think Tibbs loves this guy, and they're going to continue to develop him.
Yeah. So, unfortunately, it's Deuce McBride. Like I said, Deuce McBride's tenure as a Knick is not over. He'll still be used during certain situations during the game. So, yeah. Chris, last hour of the trading deadline, there was a rumor that came out of Chicago that had Knicks fans on the edge, had me on the edge a little bit. The rumor was Zach LaVine and the Knicks and the Bulls were interested in making a trade. And, Zach LaVine was the name who obviously popped up. And Knicks Twitter went crazy. Let me tell you. Everybody was going crazy. My first reaction was, for who? Number one. And then some, trade came about from some other account. He was like, Evan Fournier, Derrick Rose, Obi Toppin, Quentin Grimes, and 3 first-round picks for Zach LaVine. And I was like, no, thank you. Took a look at Zach LaVine's contract. Chris, get this, man. I know you've seen it before, but let me refresh your memory if you haven't already. No. This year, Zach LaVine gets paid $37 million. Zach LaVine is a good player, right? Good player.
Yeah. I personally don't think $37 million good player. I mean,
oh, it gets better.
Don't get me wrong. I know he earned that back in the day, but not quite the same player,
Yeah. I mean, he's coming off knee injury, so we get it. Last year, he was playing good. He's a good player. I'm not throwing shade at Zach LaVine. He's a good player. The Knicks got him. They'll be a better team. But not with this contract, buddy. Next year, 2023-2024, $40 million. 24-25, $43 million. 25-26, $45 million. Then in 26 and 27, he has a player option, Chris, for $48 million. Wow. That is 4 years from now.
Not for nothing. I didn't know the contract was that bad.
Really? You didn't?
I mean, I knew it was going up in the 40s, but basically hitting 50 yet?
$48 million in 26, 27.
Wow. And again, you're talking about a player who, his game is, yes, he got the 3-point shot going now, but his game is the explosiveness. It's the speed. And I hate to say it, but it reminds you of Derrick Rose, when once he had his injury, he was quite never the same again and had to basically reinvent his game. And that's a hell of a risk to take for Zach LaVine. And I'm not saying I want him to get injured or anything like that, but it has to be in the back of your mind. And certainly it was on the back of my mind when I started hearing the rumors. But not for nothing, I was going through a wild range of emotions.
Yeah.
Because it was like, all right, let me just think about it. Where would he fit? Like, I was hearing rumors that it was going to be something like RJ Barrett, Picks, Grimes, Obi for Zach LaVine. And I was like, maybe I could live with RJ going for Zach LaVine. Maybe Zach LaVine will hit some of those threes that.
Don't trigger Knicks fans, Chris. Don't trigger them.
But yeah. But at the end of it, I was just like, he's just not a fit, man. Too many times I've seen Zach LaVine shoot the balls out of games that they're literally like they're destroying the other team, and he'll take a half court shot and he'll take 2 or 3 of them, miss them badly, and then next thing you know, it's a game and they lose it.
Well,
just not what we need.
Yeah, obviously Grimes would be going back to Chicago if the trade happened, and then you would slide LaVine to the 2, and then obviously you acquired Hart, so then you would have Brunson, LaVine, Barrett, Randall, Robinson. Okay team, but not a contender in the East, and then that contract is no bueno. So yeah, man, we've talked about pretty much the NBA trading deadline. Knicks acquired Josh Hart. We like the fit. We like him coming off the bench for now. Maybe during a playoff run he starts. Maybe he's also insurance plans for Quentin Grimes, because Grimes has an injury history. Don't forget about that. He's been healthy recently, but Grimes has an injury history. So God forbid something happens, you can just plug in Josh Hart and he'll do everything, man. And you just plug him in, and he's like a plug and play. You won't lose a beat. And yeah, so Hart to the Knicks. This trading deadline was crazy. It's going to be interesting what the New York Knicks or how the New York Knicks make up this ground here. Obviously, you have Brooklyn. Now they're in tank mode. Miami Heat didn't really do anything. And the Knicks play the Miami Heat 3 more times, Chris. And these next 3 games are very important. Knicks beat them in the Garden last week. So these games versus the Heat are important, very important. And playoffs are around the corner, Chris. It's February 9th. Before you know it, we have another, month and a half of basketball. And then we're talking about, playoff matchups, which should be pretty fun. That should be pretty fun, man.
I'm here for it.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
Can't wait. Like Bar Scott. Can't wait.
Can't wait.
Yeah, man, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. Appreciate y'all for joining in. If you're on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button. Apple, Spotify. Subscribe to the podcast. We are sponsored by nobody. Hopefully we get a sponsor coming here soon. But I'm Anthony. That is Chris. Appreciate you guys. Always a good time talking Knicks. And we'll be back possibly in a week. So, yeah, man. It's always let's go Knicks, Chris. And any final words?
Let's go Knicks. That's all I can't wait for the next game. Let's see how it looks like with Josh Hart. Yes. I'm excited.
Yes.
I'm excited.
Yes, I'm very excited as well. We shall see. But all right, everybody. Have a good night. Peace.
Peace.